You've probably heard of the werewolf of Bedburg, right? It's one of those names that just screams primal fear and, well, brutal violence. For over 400 years, the story of Peter Stump, a farmer who supposedly became a monster, has been told and retold. But what if the beast itself isn't even the most interesting part of the story?
Okay, so let's get right into it. The thing about this legend is, it's not just one story. It's more like a mirror, and every time someone tells it, that reflection changes, showing us what the storyteller is really afraid of, what they're obsessed with. The meaning of the monster, it's never set in stone.
So that's what we're going to do. We're going to unpack three wildly different takes on this one legend. We'll look at a philosophical Ubermensch, a terrifying alchemical abomination, and a tragic human scapegoat to really figure out what this classic monster story tells us about, well, us.
First up, we've got a version that treats the werewolf not as some cursed guy, but as a full-blown philosophical statement. This is the parable of the beast of Bedburg, and it's a really bleak, really powerful take on the nature of freedom. To get this version, you have to understand an idea from the philosopher Nietzsche called herd morality. Basically, think of it as all the rules we agree to follow just to feel safe and part of the group. Well, in this story, Peter Stump looks at that so-called slave morality and sees it for what he thinks it is, a prison made of comforting lies. And this, wow, this lays out the central conflict perfectly. On one side, you have the villagers, hiding behind a sense of virtue that's just camouflage for their cowardice. And on the other side, you've got Stump, driven by what Nietzsche called the will to power, this raw, brutal affirmation of life that achieves transcendence not through being good, but through being strong. And this is what really gets me about this interpretation. His deal with the devil, it wasn't portrayed as a moment of weakness or some tragic mistake. No, it was a choice, a conscious, deliberate decision to transcend the human condition, to step above it, not fall from it. And so for 25 years, he wasn't some monster hiding in the dark. He was the ultimate individualist, a true Ubermensch, creating his own values out in the wilderness, totally and completely free from the slave morality of the village. He was all pure instinct and desire. And here it is, the real gut punch of this version. The villagers didn't kill him just for his crimes. They killed him because the herd couldn't stand to look at a creature that was strong enough to break every single chain they called morality. By destroying him, they could go back to the comfort of their own prison. Okay, let's switch gears completely. For our second tale, we're stripping away all that philosophy and replacing it with something way more visceral. This is magical, almost scientific horror. This is the werewolf as a Faustian bargain gone horribly, horribly right. Now this version, it gives us a crystal clear origin story. It starts with a very human desire for revenge after Stump loses his hand. That desperation leads him to call on Mephistopheles, who doesn't offer him some magic belt. Oh no, he offers something way more insidious, a shimmering, unstable alchemical serum. The reign of terror that follows, it's powered by demonic science. And just look at the powers this stuff gave him. Yeah, you've got the super strength and all the classic werewolf abilities, but this is where it gets really unique. The serum apparently unlocked latent magic, giving him witch power and the ability to carve these magical runes that could hide him or literally paralyze people with fear. He wasn't just a beast, he was a living supernatural weapon. But here's the twist. When he was finally captured, he confessed everything under torture. The pact, the serum, the rune magic. But the authorities, they just couldn't process it. It was too weird, too complex for them. So for the official record, they just simplified it all down to a story people would understand. A magic devil's belt and some simple witchcraft. The real alchemical horror was basically erased from history.
All right, for our last take on this legend, we're pulling the monster out of philosophy and alchemy and dropping it into a much more chilling reality: human nature. This isn't the story of Peter Stump, but a man named Silas. And it really makes you ask, was the real monster ever a werewolf at all?
So, like the other tales, this one starts with brutal killings. But the story quickly zooms in on this guy, Silas. And why him? Well, because he was an outsider. He was quiet, he had a missing hand, which just so happened to match rumors about the beast having a missing paw. And, this is crucial, he still followed the old ways when a new, more zealous faith was taking over the town. He was the perfect target. So, of course, he's captured, and under who knows what kind of pressure, he confesses to everything they want to hear. A pact with the devil,
a magic belt, turning into a beast, you name it. And his confession, whether it was true or not, gave the villagers exactly what they needed, a monster they could blame for everything they feared. And this version just leaves you hanging with this haunting question. Was there ever actually a supernatural beast running around? Or was the real monster something way more common, and maybe way scarier? The monster of fear, of prejudice, and the desperate need to control people, all hidden behind the convenient costume of a werewolf. So there you have it. 3 completely different werewolves, all born from the exact same legend. A philosopher, an alchemical horror, and a scapegoat. It just goes to show you that our monsters, they're mirrors that reflect the specific fears of the people who create them. Let's just break it down one last time. The Nietzschean parable. That's a modern story, using the werewolf to explore our philosophical fear of absolute, terrifying freedom. The alchemical werewolf comes from a more pre-scientific world, using magic and forbidden science to explain real-world horror. And the tale of Silas, well, that's timeless. It shows how the werewolf legend can just become a weapon for social control, a way to punish outsiders when fear is running high. It's kind of amazing, isn't it? The werewolf turns out to be this incredibly flexible idea. The shape of the monster, a man who becomes a wolf, it stays the same. But what it means changes to fit whatever we need to explain or condemn, whether that's an idea like freedom, a force like supernatural terror, or just the very worst parts of ourselves. You see, in the end, the stories we tell about monsters, they're never really about the monsters. They're always about us. It makes you ask yourself what you're really afraid of. Is it the beast out there in the woods, or is it the one hiding in our own communities? And maybe, just maybe, inside ourselves. So, what do your monsters say about you?